First things first, Olaf, how are you?
I'm pretty great. How are you?
I'm not too bad, not too bad. Before we talk about kind of what you've been working on recently, I'd like to go back a little bit. Now, you've just released a live album, Live by Fire, the second Live by Fire. If you go back to your younger years, what was the first concert that you went to that had a big impact on you?
First of all, I think I went to a lot of local shows here in the city where I'm from that had a lot of impact on me. But I mean, the first show that I saw, because I lived very far away from any place that ever had concerts, so it was kind of hard to me. So to go to festival, and especially like being allowed to go to concerts for my parents, I guess. I think the first concert I went to when I was 15, I think that was Slayer.
Okay.
And that was a pretty cool thing. And I saw in the same year I saw like Slayer, Iron Maiden, Manowar, and a bunch of other bands.
What did this do to for you? Because, like you say, well, maybe you weren't able to go to that many concerts early on. Once you were able to, like you say, you were 15, and in a year you see all these incredible bands. What did that do to you?
I'm not sure really. I think I was more. I had it was like the local shows had a bigger impact on me. Okay. I think that you were able to get closer to the local bands. You could like see them. And it was also a few years earlier where you are more like you're more. The impact that it gives you is kind of bigger compared to when you're in like 15, 16 and you go to a huge show. You can't really relate to that. But especially like a lot of local shows I saw here, we had a pretty good like music climate, like growing up here in Arvika in this small town. So there were a lot of things happening all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine that seeing it more up close, it kind of reveals that it's accessible for everyone. So did you know early that you wanted to do that you wanted to be in a band as well?
I've been playing music all my life. It's like literally all my life. Ever since I was like a year, I've been playing with my parents, especially, and then and with my siblings and all that.
Were you always the front man in a sense?
Kind of. It's not that I've been wanting to be a front man. It's just because more or less, there were no singers. So if you were to have vocals in your band, you had to do it yourself, and that's kind of. I think that's how most singers start anyway. But it's never been that. I wanted to play guitar.
Who in terms of guitars, were the people that you looked up then? As well, local guys, or did you look?
I mean, yeah, but it depends on what time of my growing up talking. If it's like, I don't know. I mean, I was hugely into Iron Maiden and Metallica and that kind of things, very early on. So I guess those.
When then did you know, like you say, you had to, if you wanted vocals on your record, you had to sing yourself. When did you know that you could sing? Because that's not a given for everyone.
Still don't know if I can sing. I don't think I can sing. I'm still in that phase,
Really? After making so many albums?
I wish that just some great singer could come in and just put down the vocal lines that I have in mind. That would be so great to have like Dio or Klaus Meine singing my songs.
Well, that's interesting, because what kept you going then over the years? What made you not look for a singer?
Because I think singers are hard to deal with,
Let's ask it a little bit differently then, because now I think the upcoming album will be number 7.
Yeah.
So can you see your progression as a singer then? Can you?
I'm insanely much better now compared to just 2 years ago. You develop all the time, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I really find that interesting. So you would rather just be a guitarist?
I think so, yeah. It's a hassle to be a singer, being on tour, because you always have to like keep your voice in shape, and you have to like stay away from loud places. You have to like make sure you rest properly. And maybe that's what's been saving me from being a full-blown alcoholic.
But I think that there are some perks to being the frontman and being kind of the visual point for the fans, right?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not in it for that reason. But of course, it's easier being a vocalist because you can like being like somewhat like the brain behind things. Then it's just easier to actually be the vocalist also, because you can always make things like the way you see them, the way you visualize things, I guess.
But with that in mind, then let's jump into kind of the songwriting aspect then, because I believe that on what you're working on now and what will be the upcoming record, you like to keep everything in your own control. You're doing the mixing yourself, you're doing the producing yourself.
Yeah.
So this creative freedom, how important is that?
A lot, I think, and especially for like the stress of expensive studio time, you can spend as much time as you need on things, and you can like working creatively without stress is very important, because I can never come up with good things under stress.
With that in mind, then, was even though it might sound counterintuitive, was the previous year where everything was kind of slowed down, was that good for you?
Yeah, I think it's been a good year. It's been very relaxing and not stressful. You can really focus on creativity instead of like running around chasing like stuff on the road. I don't know. So it's been very relaxing, and it's been great for creativity.
What have you realized then about your creativity, and especially looking forward to the music you're working on now, what your likes are, where your mindset is at the moment?
I think a lot of things have started to make more sense in how we should approach music, how we should do it, what like the idea of what you do is almost like more important than the songs. To have like a really good idea about what you want to do, and not like and do one thing to 100%. It's and also a little bit we've been discovering, how the music climate works today compared to 10 years ago. It has changed a lot, and how we can like attack this, knowing how things work now. For example, that people don't listen to full songs anymore. It might have, led a little bit to that we've been tending to keep the songs a little bit shorter. That people have shorter attention span. That you want to go from intro to like straight into the song a little bit more like that. And it's just a little small things like that, I think.
That's interesting that you say that, because I read, I don't know if it was the bio for the new single, but somewhere you said that after Zenith you kind of realized to make music for yourself, but obviously that's number one, but also to be aware of what people like to hear from you, in a sense.
I don't. Yeah, I'm trying. It's you got to find a good middle way. I'm not like adjusting the music to what people want from us, but I might adjust my approach a little bit to how music is being consumed today. So it's not on any like individual level, but it's just on a very general level, if you know what I'm talking about. Sure. It's like people consume music in a totally different way today compared to when we started out. So it's perhaps a little bit with that more in mind. I think that our previous album Zenith would have done great 10 years ago, but releasing that 10 years after, I think it was a little bit too ambitious. The songs were too long. It was like more of a full album instead of Zenith is an album where you have to listen to it from the first second to the last second to enjoy the full of it. You know, very ambitious, and it's very artsy in that sense. But I don't think that people have the attention span today of embracing such a product compared to 10, 12 years ago, when people still listened to and had the attention span to spend 45 minutes listening to a full product. That's just like, that's something that's gone completely lost.
Well, I do.
That people listen to 30 seconds of the first song and then they write the full review of an album. You know what I mean?
Sure, but one thing I do believe is that this is within kind of the heavy rock or heavy metal or metal genre, whatever you like to call it. I think that's where there's still a lot of fans who like a tangible product, who get all the merch, who like the artwork, all that kind of stuff, who are a little bit more involved than other genres, maybe.
A little bit more, but just a little bit more. I think that we have that proven a couple of times now. And especially, I think we proved that last week when we released one song that suddenly got more attention than what a full album did last time. So I think that's also like a reminder on how because like the reception when we released the song last week was like insane. We already have more plays on that song than what our previous album had, because we made that song to be that type of single. That's what I'm talking about.
With that in mind, then, what was the starting point of Kiss of Death? Was there, like you said, there was something like that in your mind? So did you know you were going to release it as a kind of a one-off single and not worrying too much about the album?
Nowadays, what I've been thinking is that all the songs should work as singles. All the songs should like be very representative for what you want to mediate, compared to the last album where we wanted the album to be the main product. But I think that we've been forced to think more about the songs. If you see the difference, and that with that in mind, I think that Kiss of Death we really wanted to do a single, like something that was like super representative for what we are, and something that is like yeah, you know, that checks all the boxes.
And then you've called it in other clips I saw you call it a speed metal anthem. And so with that in mind, what is part of it also wanting to have a good song to play live in a way? Is that always an aspect of it?
That's always an aspect of every song we ever done, I think.
So with that in mind, what for you would be the perfect show that you can put on? Because there are dynamics within the show, just like on an album, right?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, exactly. So what type of, what's the question?
Well, kind of because you mentioned kind of singles. So in terms of live shows, then obviously you could just play a bunch of singles. But do you think about dynamic within the live show in that sense?
All the time, yeah. That's just as important as anything else. If you just play one type of songs over and over, that would be, you know, the audience would get bored. Like within in the third song already, and you know everything is about the dynamics, because if you only have songs in one tempo, even if you only play fast songs, you won't feel that they are fast unless you have something to contrast the fast songs with. Or if you only play pentatonic scales on the guitar, you won't feel the drive of the pentatonic scale unless you put it in contrast to something more melodic. That's just like the very basic of music.
So in that sense, because Zenith was already quite a varied album, can you see the same thing happening in the future then? And even though that you might release it differently, that you still are looking for these very different types of songs?
Yes, both yes and no. But it depends on what happens, and it's all dependent on how things are received. The thing that we can do now is that we can see how people react on this song, and we're going to release a new song in a few months or in a few weeks, and then we'll see how people react on that, and then we'll see what the next step would be. And that's a different approach. We've just recorded 4 songs right now, and like as we speak, we're in the studio to record another bunch of songs. So it's like a little bit, it's very interesting to follow. Instead of making an album and working on each song simultaneously, I think that we're just working on one song at a time, just trying to do all the best we can for each song. So there's a lot of more focus on the songs, instead of the album as a whole.
What is your, especially now then with this new perspective on the song, what is your approach to songwriting? Do you start with music? Do you start with lyrics? Is it dependent on the song itself?
It depends. Sometimes it can, but lyrics is probably what comes last. Okay. I think usually guitar riffs or the style of the song or the title or the title in a context. Let's say like a chorus concept or something. It's and then you just build it around it. It's different on all the songs, all the albums.
Because am I right in saying that Kiss of Death, at least the lyrics were inspired by a Mozart play?
Yes, originally.
Because, let's try to go through that song then. Because does the riff, when you hear that and kind of the sound of the song, does that influence what you write in terms of lyrics as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's good. It's important to write lyrics that mediate the same vibe as the actual riffs. And I guess the original concept, like, was something that I just came up with when I started working with this. It's like whatever. It's something like that, and then you work on the concept, and then you find a new song title, something that works better with the lyrics and with the arrangements and everything. So you start somewhere and you go somewhere else, and you never know where it will end.
And now that you keep all the production and mixing within the band, does that?
But yes, yeah.
But does that give you an extra sense of freedom in terms of where you can go with songs?
I think so. I think so very much. That's the best freedom, like, once again, not to have like the pressure of expensive studio time or anything, and things get, and I also don't really think that, any music producers out there today, I'm not impressed by anything. Everybody's making their mixes sound the same, and no, I don't like that. I don't like modern music production, something that seems very, very impossible for people to avoid. It gives me nothing, absolutely nothing. I like classic music production, not modern stuff where everybody uses the same samples, the same presets on the guitars. It's completely lifeless, and I don't want anything like that. And everybody's doing it. It feels like everybody doing it in the entire world except me. So,
in that sense, and with what you mentioned about kind of wanting to release or now releasing singles instead of albums, is that in a way a regrettable thing then for you? Do you still like the album, but it's just the musical landscape that we're in that doesn't allow that, or do you prefer releasing singles in a way?
I like both, but we've done 5 albums now, so it's kind of liberating to just like switch approach a little bit. And if this works, we'll see, and then we might do something else. I really don't know. I think the future has to tell us what approach is the right one. But it feels really great for now to like focus on the songs more.
What do you think is lacking, in a sense, in modern production? Then is it just the fact that they sound the same, or is it because what I always felt was lacking in modern music is that it's very sterile in a way. It doesn't have a lot of warmth to it, in my opinion. So what is it for you that kind of you would like to see more of?
Dynamics. It's like the difference between like weak and strong, and the difference between like loud and silent. It just doesn't exist in modern music production anymore.
Why do you think that has gone?
It's just loud because you can. You know.
In a way, it's because when you start making music, this whole the whole industry side is probably not on your mind yet. So now that you've made these albums and kind of have experienced what the music industry and musical landscape is like, what were you surprised in a sense that it was the way it is?
I think it's been constantly changing. It's nothing that is like that's always been like that. Because I mean, we started this band 16 years ago, and a lot of things have happened in these 16 years. And we experienced a little. It's been back and forth. We've been experiencing a lot of support for doing it for a time, and then we also experienced a lot of criticism for doing it this way, and it's been going a little bit up and down.
Well, finally, then you mentioned maybe releasing a single in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Is there anything you can reveal about? Do you have a song in mind that you would like to release next?
Yeah, we have a song that because I did like a pretty interesting like behind the scenes documentary with fans could follow and listen to some of the song ideas that we have. So the next song is a song that right now is called At the End of the Rainbow, and it was a song that was very much appreciated by the fans in the demo stage. So that's the one we're working on right now. Actually, we're pre-producing it in the studio right now, and we're gonna go and record the drums tomorrow.
Okay. So in that sense, with kind of not having a fixed release schedule now, then again, is that something that helps the creativity in a way? But like you said, you can now take 5 weeks, you can take 2 months if you like.
Rating, and you can just throw in all your great ideas that you have, like.
But then the flip side then is maybe you keep tinkering too much. So do you know kind of when to say, okay, now the song is done?
Yeah, we know that. You have something in your head, and once you listen to something that is like completely matching that, then you know that you're done.
Fair enough. And now I did see you have, I think, 2 shows in December in Russia, but most of the shows that you have scheduled are for 2022. Have you missed playing live at all, or do you still enjoy kind of the creative space that you're in now?
I love playing live, but also it's a lot of work and a lot of logistics before you are there, which is not very nice. Mm-hmm. So it's been very also liberating once again not to have all the pressure of handling all the logistics around playing the show. But of course you miss being on stage. Is one of the best feelings you can have as musicians, like when it's a good show and people are there for you. So that's of course I miss that, but let's see what we can do about it.
Well, to come full circle and to kind of end with what I started with, what is then your favorite live performance you have ever done?
Oh, I very good question. But places like Mexico City, like Buenos Aires, Santiago, Athens is always like really great to play. So London it's also a pretty good place to play. Like last time we played London was pretty crazy, 2019. So there's a lot of places and a lot of shows that sticks out to me. But there's a lot of bad shows in between.
Well, I keep going, but it kind of reminds me of things. Then, well, what does that tell you? Because there is still a great audience out there for the type of music that you make. So, what does that tell you about what you're doing? Does it kind of give you some sense of confirmation that even though you're doing it in your own way, at least there's people who enjoy it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what you live for, and that's what keeps you motivated to continue. It's like the support you get back, whether it's from a live show, or if it's like on the internet, or if it's like high streaming numbers. Then that's also very. It's kind of a confirmation on that you're doing something.
Well, let's hope then that things are keep going well as the first single has, and can't wait to see what you come up with the next single. Olaf, may I thank you for taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you very much.